Alright, so the first thing we're going to want to do is to figure out how much you should be eating. Now, the easiest way to do this is using a calorie calculator. You can use the calorie calculator in the link down below. It is set up with my requirements for protein amount. It's what I would give to my current clients. Or you can just go to Google and Google calorie calculator. Click the top link and then the prompts are just ridiculously easy to follow. So an example of this would be you clicked in the calorie calculator in the bio, you choose your gender, you choose your age, your height, how much you currently weigh, what your goal is, what your activity level is. Mine would be very active. Then you enter your email address and your name, and then click get results now. Once you have your results, come back to this video and I'll explain everything in detail on exactly what you need. Basically, by the end of this video, you're going to be able to eat whatever you want and get the... Alright, so in this video, I'm going to explain to you how to track your macros and calories. I'll teach you what a calorie deficit is, what a calorie surplus is, how to manage treats in your diet, food choices, and literally everything so you can track everything you eat and not have to adhere to any kind of meal plan. If you already know what a calorie deficit is, all of that stuff, you can skip to the part of the video where you see this screen and it'll basically just be entering everything into MyFitnessPal and setting your goals. Alright, so to start off, we have a calorie deficit, which is basically just when you are eating less food than the amount of calories you are burning. So food energy in is less than going out, which ultimately leads to weight loss. And then a calorie surplus is more food or energy in than calories burnt, which is going to lead to weight gain. And then we have a calorie maintenance, which is where you are maintaining body weight. So if you get to your goal physique and you want to just kind of maintain it, then you have quite a bit of freedom with eating a fair amount of food. You're not going to be hungry. You're not going to be too full. You're eating about the same amount of energy or calories that you are burning. Now, one of the things we need to know to counter macros is understanding a food label. This is just something I would never personally eat, but it gives us a good idea on everything we need to know when looking at the back of a package in the shops. So in MyFitnessPal, you can use a barcode scanner and you can basically just scan every piece of packet food you pick up, which makes things incredibly easy as opposed to searching for it in the MyFitnessPal database. But basically what we need to know is we need to know the amount of protein in something, in this case 3.2 grams. We need to know the amount of fat in something, in this case very high, 18.7 grams, and then the amount of carbohydrates, 6.3 grams. We don't really need to know anything else in terms of macronutrient breakdown. Macronutrients make up calories, and ultimately, depending what phase you're in, you want to be eating a certain amount of calories with a certain macronutrient profile, mainly high protein and then carbs and fat. Get separated into whatever you want within your lifestyle. Most of the time it's high protein, fairly high carbohydrates, and then a moderate amount of fat. Some people definitely deal with fat better than others, but it is very individual. So they're the things we need to know when moving forward counting your macros. Alright, now using MyFitnessPal, things you want to consider would be the food choices won't significantly impact your fat loss results. Basically trying to say, eat ice cream if you want to eat the ice cream, just make it fit into your macros. This goes along with donuts, drinking, basically everything you can count into your macro and still achieve your goal. So ideally you want to hit your protein first and then figure everything else out around it. And on the day today, you want to hit your macros within 5 grams of each target. So if your goal was to be eating 200 grams of protein, ideally you eat 205 grams of protein or 195 grams of protein. The closer you are to the target, the better your result's going to be, but within 5 grams is pretty good. So the method of weighing things can be chosen in MyFitnessPal. An example would be if you're weighing chicken raw, you can search in MyFitnessPal raw chicken breast, or if you're weighing it cooked, you can search cooked chicken breasts. Raw weight will always be more accurate except for meat, just due to obviously water content. In meat, the water content gets cooked out, but in something like pasta, if you weigh 100 grams raw pasta as opposed to 100 grams cooked pasta, the 100 grams of cooked pasta is gonna soak up a lot of that water, and it's just gonna be less accurate. So ideally, you weigh vegetables, fruit, all those things raw. You're probably not going to cook fruit, but you get the picture. Regardless of that, you can search it in MyFitnessPal. Factoring in treats, whether that's ice cream, donuts, whatever it is, you can still eat that. It is good to eat majority of your food from healthy food just because it's going to make you feel better. But dieting is much easier to adhere to when you can eat things like donuts, or maybe you go out for breakfast on the weekends, whatever it is. Specifically for me, I eat Krispy Kreme donuts for breakfast on the weekends. So I'll show you how to do this and how I think the best way to go about it is. Because ultimately, if you're going to eat a treat and you know you're going to get it on that day, for example, you might go out for dinner, get hot chips, steak, whatever it is, you can roughly track it. It might not always be 100%, but it is going to be a better option as opposed to just totally winging it. So I'll explain that when we go into the MyFitnessPal. And my final thoughts before we get into the actual tracking part is tracking is king. It ultimately leads you to being able to eat whatever you want within certain parameters and allows you a lot of food freedom. It allows you to go out drinking with your friends. It allows you to go have wine on the weekend. It allows you to have donuts for breakfast. Whatever it is, you can make it fit. Some things harder than others, but along the way, you will learn what you enjoy and how well you can track it. And honestly, if you track 90% of the time, you're going to achieve a large amount of progress. Going out on the weekend, drinking, and not tracking one day every now and then isn't going to wreck your progress. Ultimately, dealing with it is pretty easy. You have a calorie amount that you're supposed to be sticking to, and a birthday or something pops up. Just enjoy yourself. Literally, do whatever it is you want to do. If you've been really, really adherent, like 80, 90, 100% adherent for majority of the week, majority of the month, whatever it is, and something comes up, just go and enjoy yourself. Don't feel guilty. The worst case scenario is you've just delayed your progress by one day. You're not going to have a massive blowout and ruin everything you've done, so there's no need to feel guilty. Literally just enjoy yourself, and then the next day, lock back in, go back to the plan, and then just don't feel guilty. It's going to be fine. So if you're tracking majority of the time, remember you can enjoy yourself and you're not going to ruin yourself much at all. All right, so I'll get you to download the MyFitnessPal app and open it. And then once you open it, you're going to want to set your goal targets. You're going to open MyFitnessPal and come down to the More tab. Then you're going to click on the Goals tab, and then Calorie, Carb, Protein. Click that, and then click on these numbers and adjust them to whatever they are. The first week or two doing this, you're not going to get it perfect. Don't stress. You're still in a much better position than if you weren't doing this. And then over time, you'll get extremely good at counting macros and ultimately get to a place where you know, like, all right, I feel like this, I'm going to eat this. And then you will fit it in your day. So we're going to head in and click OK. Then we're going to go back to the main screen. And then we're going to click Log Food. All right, so I will just do a day as I would kind of plan it, and maybe on the weekend when I'm going to have donuts for breakfast. And then I'll just do a bit of a variety of food that I wouldn't necessarily eat, but it's not like an extremely healthy day. It's not an extremely unhealthy day. It's just a moderate standard day that anyone can kind of eat without a massive amount of meal prep. So for meal one, for breakfast, we're going to click add food, and then we're going to go and search a food. We won't use the barcode because that is relatively easy to figure out. You literally just scan the barcode and the food amount will come in. So we'll search the food by writing in Krispy Kreme, and as you can see, I've searched it before. So up here you have serving size, number of servings, don't worry about the time, and then whatever meal it is. Usually you've clicked on the meal you're having it, but that doesn't even matter. It's literally total calories that matter and total macronutrients. So serving size is 1 donut. I'm going to have 2 donuts. It's usually what I have. So add that in. And then I have a sugar-free mother with that. And as you can see, it's already there. But if it wasn't already there, you would just click the search button and then it will come up. A better out mother, sugar-free mother. And it'll come up with a list of foods, and then basically you just click the one that is closest to what you're eating. And this is the one, as you can see, 500 mils, serving size, number of servings 1. Click that. All right, and then I will probably have pre-breakfast. When I first wake up, I have some protein. And the protein I use is Macro Mike, so you would search Macro Mike protein. It has a barcode, most proteins, so just use the barcode feature, but if you have to search it. And then serving size, I always choose 1 gram, and then if I go over and put 82 grams in or whatever, I can just adjust this number. But I usually have an 80-gram shake once I wake up. Then we're going to come back to the food diary. We will go down to meal 2. I'll have plant-based schnitzels because they taste really good and the macros are good. So we'll click on there and I'll have 2 of those, 150 grams serving each. And then I'll have rice. So if you're searching rice, you would write long grain rice or jasmine rice, whatever it is. I just use the microwave packets. Usually just scan the barcode once and then it'll be in your search history. And you can just hit that plus button to add it in faster. But for the sake of the video, I'll click on it, 1 gram serving size, because then it's just easy to adjust. If we do click on that, it gives you options of how many grams, and my serving size is 1 gram and I have 250 grams of that. And then I would have pineapple, so pineapple and pineapple juice, I'll have about 200 grams of that. Put it in, and if we see at the top here in the premium version, it'll show you what you have left or what you have eaten. But you can come down here to the bottom of the screen, click this nutrition tab, and it's going to show you what you have left. So I've had 102 grams of protein already. I've had 179 grams of carbs and I've had 47 grams of fat. Fiber matters. You want to eat about 15 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories, and everything else in terms of body composition, it doesn't really matter. Same as fiber, but fiber is going to help your digestion. So it is important to try to have majority of your days around that 15 grams per 1,000 calorie mark. So then we're going to come back to the food log. We know how much we have left. We don't really know what we're feeling like, but maybe we're gonna have some pasta. I use one called Mum's Pasta Sauce. It's just from Coles, and we'll quick add that in there. And then I have protein pasta, which all of these can be just scan the barcode once you have bought them, so you don't necessarily have to add them in all manual like this. But I'll have about 150 grams of pasta, and then potentially, I don't personally eat mince, but if you were going to have pasta, you would put mince in. So 100 grams of lean mince to make sure it is a fairly high protein meal. So that meal's out the way. Then however long after that, maybe you just want a snack or potentially, a full meal. However, these don't need to be in any order. You can have your breakfast at 1 a.m. It doesn't matter. As long as in the day period, you're eating the macronutrients provided, that is the main thing. So for meal 4, we'll have a wrap. So I use Mission Light Wraps usually just because the macros are really good. And as you do this, you'll find foods that are ultimately much better in macros. So 2 different wraps aren't the same macros. So if you have these Mission Light Wraps as opposed to normal Mission Wraps, you're going to get lower fat and lower carbs, and the protein ratio is going to be better. The normal Mission Wraps are about 45 carbs and about 8 fat, I believe. Could be a little bit wrong, but they're higher in calories. So we want the best tasting food for the lowest amount of calories, basically. So we'll put 1 wrap in, and it'll be a chicken wrap. So we'll have about 120 grams of cooked chicken breasts. As you can see, it says cooked chicken breasts. We have about 120 grams. Add that, and then come back, add food. And you can obviously just add absolutely everything in. And then we'll probably put some lettuce on the wrap. Lettuce is very low calories, so it's not highly likely that you're going to track it, but for the case of this video, we will track it. Put that in, 1 cup of lettuce, and then we'll put on some tomato. Search that tomato, 1 gram serving size, and we're going to have 50 grams. And then the sauce we're going to use, it's important to add sauce, add oil, whatever you put in your food for cooking, whether that's ingredients into a meal, anything, you want to weigh it on your food scale and add it. So we're going to have Perinase, mayo, 20 grams, add that in, and then we'll come back and we'll look at our macronutrients left. So as you can see, there's only 5 carbs left, 15 fat and 8 protein. So there's not a whole lot of food we can do. If you're trying to lose weight, you could probably leave it at there. However, it is good to try to get the most out of your food, just because if you are trying to lose weight, you're probably going to be a little bit hungry. So what I would do is probably have some peanut butter. And now this is my favorite peanut butter. Probably have about 18 grams, looks about right. Add that in, and then come back and see what we have. So as you can see with what's left, we have 3 protein left, 2 fat, and 2 carbs, and 6 fat, which is relatively close. So that is basic goal you'd want to be trying to hit. You want to hit really, really close to the protein amount, really, really close to the carbohydrate amount, and really close to the fat amount. And if you don't worry about calories and just try to hit the macronutrient target you've been given, it will equal the total calorie amount that you need. Because sometimes MyFitnessPal calories are a little bit whack, but one thing that isn't is the macronutrients. So as you can see, we're over by 72 calories, but we still have macronutrients that we could eat, which ultimately means that it doesn't equal this correct amount of calories. So you don't need to worry about that. The main thing I'm trying to explain is no matter what you're eating or what you choose throughout the day, you're trying to equal the total amount of macros you've been given. Instead of this rice here, we have 59 carbs, 4 fat, 5.6 protein. If we were going to take that out, and now we have 65 carbs, 10 fat, 9 protein, we could come in and search white potato raw and 100 grams serving size, so we'd probably have about 450. So 4.5 serves of 100 grams is 450 grams. And then we would enter that, come back out. And as you can see, we still equal very, very similar macros. We have 10 fat left. We've gone over 2 protein, and we have no carbs left. So what you could even do then is you could potentially have a little bit more peanut butter, 4 more grams of peanut butter. But we're very, very close to the targets, and that's the main goal. Now, protein, fats, and carbs, you're going to get a pretty good understanding of what macronutrients in what food as you go along. But a basic rule of thumb is any meat, tofu, or soy will have high protein and some fat, and then any grains or vegetables like potatoes, sweet potatoes, cereals, biscuits will have mostly carbs and some fat, and then fats will be things like butter, oil, junk food, nuts, spreads. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb, but you will get a good understanding as you're going along. Ultimately, counting your own macros is going to give you a lot of freedom, and it will help you adhere to your diet long term, far greater than any meal plan. Meal plans are good when you're locking in for, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 20 weeks, whatever it is, and it's really easy to adhere to off the bat, and you don't really have to think about much. But tracking food is ultimately going to give you much more freedom in the long run. So you could even adhere to a meal plan during the week, and then on the weekend, I want to have a couple drinks with my friends, I want to go out, have steak, whatever it is. So going out for dinner, if you were to have steak, most restaurants have steak and the weight that they have, so you could easily put that in the app. And then when it comes to things like hot chips or rice on your plate, after counting your macros for a while, you have a pretty good understanding. You look at it and you say, that's about 200 grams of hot chips. Then you can come into MyFitnessPal and search hot chips, and then write in 200 grams of hot chips, and then you've roughly tracked it. But like I said in the beginning, ultimately, if you have one day off every now and then, it's not going to make that much difference. So hopefully this all made sense. Hopefully you have a really good understanding at counting your macros. And yeah, I wish you the best. It's going to be enjoyable.